Hi, sunflower and bloomer, beautiful light beings. How are you? How are you? Welcome to this live stream today. That is on the Libra full moon today. Hello, hello. Wonderful to see you join. So, today is the Libra full moon, and because it's the Libra full moon, there's a lot of energy in the collective energy and in everyone's individual and personal energy too. Some might feel it stronger than others, but I wanted today to basically have this as a theme because the full moon is in Libra, there's a lot of focus subconsciously on our partnerships. Maybe too that you've been thinking a lot about relationships, partnerships, friendships, any form of relationships lately, the past 3 days, today, or in the next 3 days is going to be very intense regarding that whole area of relationships. And since that is the area, I also thought, why don't we just talk a little bit about how perfectionism manifests itself in relationship and how we can basically use the energy that manifest in the relationship with others. So, what we will cover is basically, again, how we can navigate relationships with perfectionism. So, we will cover perfectionism in relationships, perfectionism in general, right? And then relationships in context of the Libra full moon, as well as what to focus on during this full moon for greater expansion. And then lastly, we'll also do like an eye gazing meditation together, which I find really powerful and potent to basically use during this time of the Libra full moon, where the relationship and connection is the focus, right? So beautiful to see you coming in. I hope that you can hear me all right. So let's just dive in to, perfectionism in relationships and how that manifests. So as a coach, right, and a light worker for high performers with perfectionism, where I help them create a life and business of freedom from perfectionism, what I've seen is that this perfectionism can manifest as some sort of resistance in relationships. So you might carry an armor, have difficulty connecting deeply with others, or having real, genuine relationship that might be short lasting and not long lasting. Or you might find yourself in relationships that are not in alignment with you and what you stand for and your values deep down. You might manifest relationships that are surface level and where you don't necessarily feel that deep sense of being seen, heard, and understood, which is what we're all here for. We're social beings, and no matter how much we try to like keep our focus onto other areas of life, actually being able to have relationships that are supportive, that are nourishing, that are beyond the whole like surface level connection, I think that's just really beautiful. But how the perfectionism manifests is oftentimes control, attachment, and expectations. So when it comes to control, if you see yourself as having these perfectionistic tendencies, or someone else who has them, this sense of control really can begin from a place of, oh, I need to control myself, or I hate being out of control because I feel out of control, then I don't know what's going to happen. I can't cope with the uncertainty of life and relationships then. So if you don't feel like you can cope with that uncertainty of what relationships bring, then what happens is you begin to project that and that need for control of yourself and situations onto other people. And so that then manifests as, wanting to know how things are going to go in relationships, maybe even before you guys have gotten into a relationship, or when you are in the relationship, maybe wanting to know where the other person is going to be, what they're going to do, how this is going to go, and da 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 da, So it's kind of that need to be certain about the outcome of a relationship. right? And oftentimes this leads to frustration because very often you cannot control how a relationship is going to go, right? And oftentimes, pretty much from my own perspective and my own personal experience, and everyone that I've coached as well, it's like, a relationship is meant to be for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And you simply cannot know what that relationship is going to turn out to be until you're looking back at your life, really. But what perfectionists or high performers with perfectionism tend to do is you then have a vision and a mission for everything in your life, even your relationships. And then you're projecting that vision onto this person or the relationship. And if they don't align to that, or if, let's say, there's some kind of like conversation or discussion or conflict that comes up, you then begin to feel nervous or anxious, or again, you might want to control it even more. See what I mean? So, this is how perfectionism happens. And it oftentimes roots in childhood experiences, right? Or, and experiences with previous friends or partners or people in general, right? From, from other circumstances and contexts where basically you have been in a relationship with them, right? But something has happened where you no longer trust, right? You no longer feel in control. And so that is what really can happen. So that is control, right? Control is a form of resistance, which is a form of perfectionism. And then we've got attachment. Okay. So attachment to the outcome, attachment to the person itself, right? I touched a little bit upon that, how control can manifest as you wanting to know how things are going to go before you actually get into the relationship, or when you are in the relationship, you still want to know how things are going to go, and you feel really really vulnerable whenever you're not certain what this is going to be for you. So attachment is, as Buddha says, the recipe for suffering, because when you have attachment to an outcome, you're living in the future and you're not living in the present. In fact, there is no such as future. That's just a fantasy. A lot of high performers with perfectionism too tend to fantasize a lot, especially if you're on the people pleasing side, the codependent side of perfectionism in relationships. You can begin to fantasize about how things are going to go, right? And then you begin to attach your worth to the relationship itself and how it's going to turn out. So, attachment is another thing. Then we have expectations. So you might have expectations that you put onto yourself about how you are supposed to show up, how you're supposed to look, how you're supposed to act, how you're supposed to behave, and also how others are supposed to behave and act and be towards you. So, this is how perfectionism can manifest: control, attachment, and expectations. And let me tell you one thing: you don't have to engage in relationships in this way. You don't have to be controlled by these perfectionistic tendencies of needing control, attachment to the relationship, and in the form of like needing things to turn out a certain way, and expectations. There's no need for that. And in fact, what I've come to recognize from my own experience and from coaching high performers with perfectionism too is these things actually are ingredients for unfulfillment, for emptiness, and oftentimes relationships don't last either, or they're not as just fulfilling at all. Now, we have the full moon in Libra, right? As I touched upon in the beginning of this live stream. And what can we then talk about when it comes to relationships in this context? So let's talk about relationships in the context of the Libra full moon. So under the light of the full moon, which was actually yesterday, approximately, at least here in Tulum, Mexico. But the thing is that with this energy of the full moon, we are being basically, we're being um we're being affected by the energy of it. All right. And what happens during a full moon, doesn't matter which kind of astrological sign it is that it brings up subconscious beliefs, fears, things to work through to be able to ascend your consciousness and expand your consciousness, right? And so, what really happens here? Hello, hello, hello. Beautiful to see you. So, what happens during this Libra full moon is that what comes up is oftentimes both the lower vibrations and the higher vibrations at once. And basically, these parts, both the light and the shadow, they're at war with each other during this full moon. And that is what makes it so intense oftentimes too, this full moon, right? It's like a lot of energy. At least for me, who's a Pisces, Sun, Cancer, Moon, Cancer rising, I'm a full of water sign and I feel the emotions and I feel the energy very intensely. And yeah, I know, 11. Feel it so strongly, this collective energy. And also just my thoughts go to, partnerships, relationships, reflecting upon that a lot. And I didn't even know that it was in Libra until I realized, so it's in Libra. So that makes sense why I'm thinking a lot about partnerships, relationships, the dynamics, right? How about you, 11? How you felt about that? Let me know. So both the light and the shadows are coming to the surface, and it's not to bother us. It's oftentimes like, oh, I feel all this energy. This is too much for me. I'm just going to do something to not have to feel this. Well, the moon is simply just inviting us to look at our relationships, right? Look at that because Libra reminds us that we do live in a world of other people. We don't live here just on our own. We live here in a world with other people. And no matter how much we want to just like stay on our own desired path, focus on what it is that we're creating here, right? There will always be some sort of outside influence from the other people that we cross path with, whether it be synchronistically or planned or in some other way, right? Or whether it be with partners and people that are in our lives for a longer term. And so, this kind of full moon, right, is a time to really feel into which kind of relationships or partnerships really enhance your mission and which ultimately will take you away from it. So, what I would say is first, yes, Libra is all about relationships, but guess what? Which relationship is the one that really is the one most essential? It is the one with yourself. Because if you don't have a sense of commitment to yourself beyond perfectionism and you're committed to basically go beyond the shoulds and have tos, and you know what your path is, what you're here for, right? If you don't know that, how are we going to connect deeply with others? So, being able to look at your relationship first, and then you can start looking at the different relationships around you too. Let's see here, 11. I appreciate you so much. I actually had such a synchronistic event seeing 11 um, the other day. It was so beautiful. Eclipse season bringing in new energy and removing others that aren't aligned any longer. It's all part of the cosmic duality. Yes, that's what it is. I 100% see you and hear you there. And that is the most challenging thing about being here, on Earth and, you know, actually lovingly releasing those that have been in our lives and have maybe had a huge impact on our lives too. And being able to release, not necessarily like cut every cord and cut everyone out of our lives. That's not necessarily what I'm saying here. It's looking at the relationship. What kind of dynamic is this relationship having an impact on me for, right? What is this dynamic? How is this dynamic impacting me and the other person and the collective? Because when you are interacting with another person, you guys are a mastermind. Literally, that is the definition of a mastermind. You create a mastermind beyond yourself, and you together can have a huge impact on the world around you. So, being aware that your relationships is not just relationships for you, they're a relationship that will impact the world around you and the people that you interact with too. Do you see what I mean? So, it's like it goes beyond your relationship because we're creating a grid here, right, around the world. And we so need relationships that are thriving, that are genuine, that are loving, and having the courage and the bravery to go beyond perfectionism and just release what is no longer serving, right? Beautiful. Well said. I love you so much. Yes, Maria. Hi, Maria. Good to have you here too. I love you so much. I'm so grateful too, because what happens is when I myself have blown beyond my own perfectionism, I've called in so many beautiful, genuine relationships just by being in my energy and speaking my truth, where it's like I speak from my heart and there's no barriers anymore, right? And you just simply just it's so interesting how synchronicities keep on happening, how many beautiful souls get come onto my path just in very synchronistic ways as well. And this is why I'm so called to do this work, because obviously, yes, we're talking about perfectionism. That is my field because I know what perfectionism does to you and your path, right? What does it do? It creates an armor where you're no longer able to have real, genuine connection, which is what we're here for. Because what else are we here for? Really? Like, what are we here for if we're not here for that? So, being able to first look at your relationship with yourself, right? What might it look like to honor yourself, the relationship with yourself? First, it's to bloom beyond your own perfectionism. And then from there, you can begin to create what I call mycorrhizal networks. Just like a sunflower or a plant or a tree, they create root systems to be able to support themselves and others. And they kind of give and receive nutrients from one another. And a lot of high performers with perfectionism want to just do things all on their own, just for themselves, on their own. And I say you can do that for a certain time, yes, but it won't be fulfilling. Trust me when I say I've met so many people, really successful people from the materialistic standpoint, look, right? Like how much they earn and how they've impacted the world and all of this, right? But a lot of them are really unfulfilled at the end of the day because they're simply not in alignment, you know, in alignment with their path and being able to have connections beyond just what they contribute. So it's necessary to have relationships too. So again, Libra reminds us that we live in a world of other people. And no matter how much we want to stay on our desired path, there will always be outside influences that distract or support us. So being aware of that. And, this full moon too is a time to feel into which relationships and partnerships enhance your life's mission and which ones ultimately take you away from it too. And to be able to know what your life's mission is, that sounds very woo, 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 But your life's mission is to be in your essence, to be in your energy, and to show up from that place, to shine your light, right? So a simple way to look at that is like the people in my life, whenever I'm with them, or do I feel expansive? Like my energy is going out, like I'm breathing more easily, or am I contracted? Both when I'm with them and when I'm beyond them, when I'm not with them anymore, right? So tuning into how you feel when you're with people and when you basically go on to be by yourself is one of the key things for me, at least, to check in whether this is a relationship that actually enhances my life mission or if it's not. Beautiful to see so lovely people on here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, again, this is a time to really just have a look at which partnerships and relationships enhance your life mission and growth, I would say, and being able to be willing to have the courage to release and let go and also forgive. Forgiveness is a big piece of this too. So this full moon is actually like centered around both of that, both release and forgiveness. Also forgiving yourself for the way that you might have showed up in relationships that might not have turned out the way that you'd like. But trust me when I say, even though that you might have wanted a relationship to go a certain way and it didn't, that was a part of your plan, your journey. You chose it at some level to go through that and to grow through that, to be able to grow, to be able to heal certain aspects within in your soul, to be able to then expand your consciousness and go into different relationships with those lessons. See? To be able to speak from that place. So it's so beautiful. Let me know how you're feeling during this full moon, too. There's plenty of energy in the collective. I can feel it. I felt it very strongly yesterday and also a little bit today. And it's going to keep on going the next couple of days. So, what is it that we then can focus on further on this full moon? Well, I'd encourage you to really just spend some time this full moon thinking about, you know, what it is that you want to create from here onwards, as far as how do you want to make those around you feel, right? And if you look at that, you want to first have yourself feel that, because you can't make someone else feel anything without you first feeling it in yourself. See? So it starts there. How do you want to feel? And what kind of experiences can you then uh, have? Can you then, what kind of places can you then go to? What kind of people can you then surround yourself with to feel those feelings? See? Because it's all about the feelings. It's not about the outcome of the relationship itself. It's the feelings that we feel. We want to feel a certain way, right? We want to feel in our element. So have a think about that. Also take note on which relationships need adjustment and what conversations you might want to have with someone that you haven't had yet. And also, what way do you want to show up in your relationships? See? What kind of way do you want to show up as in your relationships? Because, we meet certain people in our lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And again, I said this earlier too, that we will not know for what reason, or if it was for a season, or if it was for a lifetime until we cross to the other side, right? So it's not about, to bloom beyond perfectionism is to allow yourself to go beyond the mental construct and fantasy and illusion of a relationship having to last forever. Because most relationships don't, right? We travel the world. We're here in this place right now. We're settled in the different places around the world right now to be able to connect with self and connect with others. And a lot of the relationships we won't have for long. Like, for instance, let me give you an example. I'm here in Tulum, right? And hi, okay, lovely to see you. And I've connected with so many beautiful souls here and people, sunflowers, bloomers, light beings, light workers. And I fundamentally believe that a lot of us come here because we're attracted to this place because we're on a certain path, we're on a certain frequency, and we're on this journey of awakening to bloom beyond our own perfectionism in many ways. And we come here to then expand our consciousness even further, to then go back to where we potentially came from, to spread that frequency across the planet, because that is what is so needed right now, to shake up systems, to shake up everyone's frequency and energy. And I think that is what's going on now, truly. And that is exactly what I will do. And I hope that everyone else will do so to wherever they're located. You get to wherever you are in the world. It doesn't matter where you are. You can spread your genuine, unique codes of vibration to everyone around you, depending on where you are, right? With lots of love. And from that place, we can create more connection, beautiful relationships. And again, that is what this full moon is all about, is relationships, right? So, which relationships need adjustment? How can you show up where you are in the world right now to create more connection, deeper connection? And that only stems from you being connected with yourself, because life is a mirror, as within, so without, as above, so below. It's very simple. It's very, very simple. See, now it is your relationship too to notice whether you have outgrown a relationship. Okay, that is your responsibility on this planet. That takes a lot of courage and bravery to be able to say, I love this person. I love this soul. I love it very much so. But I can feel that there's a shift happening within me, within the other person. And I'm not willing to force this relationship anymore. Right? That is what it means to bloom beyond perfectionism. It's to go within and be like, am I forcing this relationship to work? Because forcing is one thing, intending and showing up to do the intentional work within yourself and within the relationship is a totally different thing. You're forcing it when you force and you change the relationship, and then it falls back into the same pattern. You force again, it comes back to the same pattern. You force again, and it comes back to the same pattern. That is when you know that you're caught in perfectionism, in the need to control and attach to the outcome of what this relationship is meant to be and what it should be over what it actually is. That's when it's time to take responsibility to see that you might have outgrown the relationship and the other person might have done so too. And the most loving thing to do is to have that conversation and be like, this is how I'm feeling in our relationship right now. I feel like we have done so much work within ourselves and each other. We came together for a reason and in a beautiful season. Now I feel the shifts happening within my nature, within my body, and I'm no longer willing to force this. I love you, right? And I release you. There's this beautiful there's this beautiful mantra, or yeah, I want to call it mantra by it's called Ho'oponopono, I think. I think it's something along the lines of I forgive you, I love you, something along those lines, and it's just so beautiful. You can go on to Google and search for it yourself, but it's just so beautiful to forgive another person and to forgive yourself and to just release it when it's time to release it. So that is that. It's your responsibility, right? To notice when you've outgrown a relationship. Furthermore, I would suggest to define your relational space as well and see which partnerships you want in your life to support your growth, nourish your creativity, and help you enjoy life, right? This world is so much better when experienced with other people. But that is not to say that we need to be in a relationship, need to have a lot of friends, need to show up in certain ways in a relationship for us to thrive, for us to have a good time, right? Absolutely not. It all I think it begins with you allowing yourself time for yourself. I think a lot of people, a lot of high performers, they go from one relationship to the other to the other. They have so many friends, they can't even deepen them properly. It's surface level connection. It's not intimate. It doesn't go beyond the surface level talk or the surface level connection. So I challenge you, what would it be like to rather step back, connect truly deeply with yourself intimately, and from that point, you can begin to simply just call in relationships that are deep, that are genuine, that are fulfilling, that are nourishing, where you also obviously show up and nourish them. What would it be like to have it that way? Personally, I don't have a lot of friends. I have a lot of connections that I've made around the world, but I don't stay in contact with every single one. Absolutely not. I have a few connections that I've nourished over the years that have turned out to become really deep since I overcame perfectionism. I've gone from being a perfectionist of having no friends, no connections at all because I was doing everything on my own. I didn't have time for relationships, right? To having a lot of connections, but not really deep, genuine ones, to now having a good middle ground, right? Where I can be on my own, I can feel really safe and secure in my own company, and I can also show up in relationships and give and receive and do so without people pleasing. That is what it means to bloom beyond perfectionism, if you ask me, right? Yeah, beautiful. Let me know how you're feeling this far. Yes, yes, yes. All right. Furthermore, also notice that, every relationship is going to have its ups and downs as well. Hello, hello. Every relationship is going to have ups and downs, and that is totally okay. Another perfectionistic tendency that I see a lot in high performers with perfectionism is this need, this compulsion to always have relationships be awesome, to not have any low vibrational emotions, to not have any sort of disagreements or anything like that, any conflict. To be able to bloom beyond perfectionism means that you are able to show up in relationships with conflict discussions, talks being present, and still feel safe to express yourself through those to deepen your growth and the other person's growth. It is a freaking illusion that that is not going to happen, right? My relationships, I would say, are very peaceful right now. As in, like, there's no freaking drama anymore because that's not the vibration that I'm operating on now, right? So I don't call in other people that are not like that either. It's simple, as within, so without, as above, so below. So I don't call that in anymore. They're very peaceful, but we do have beautiful discussions. We might have some disagreements here and there. We might have different standpoints at different things, right? And that is okay. That is totally, utterly okay. Being able to then communicate what you stand for, what is true to you, how you feel about certain things, and ask for permission to share that with the other person, and also knowing that only you can cover your own needs. The other person can help you with it, but they're never responsible for your needs. If you're in a relationship that is not fulfilling to you, that is not okay. So where you feel like you're settling, basically, where you feel like, oh, I actually do enjoy a lot of this relationship, but I still don't actually feel like I'm seen, heard, and understood fully in all areas. There's something missing. There's like this one thing, there's something with it. Well, that is an invitation to communicate that instead of going outside of that relationship and looking outside yourself. You are coming back to your relationship and communicating how you're feeling to that person, whether it be a friend, intimate partner, family member, whatever it is, and communicating that standpoint to them. See? So that is what's coming through to me right now too. Just wanted to share that if that is something that someone's going through as well. So compromises, right, is needed, but you are never to compromise your authentic true self that is deep within you. Because what happens then, it's very easy to check whether you are compromising something deeply rooted in yourself, whether you're compromising something else, right? So when you're compromising your authentic self, the bloomer within, the sunflower within, right? When you're compromising that, you will feel empty at some point. You will feel like there is nothing to give anymore because you are basically cutting off a part of yourself that is not to be compromised, that is there for a reason, for you to bloom, right? So certain things can be compromised, but a lot of things cannot. I think it's a big thing that a lot of people talk about in relationships. It's like, well, we're in a relationship, so we should compromise a little bit. we should compromise this and this and this, but really, are we? You know? Because I think compromise can actually make you and the other person suffer in the long term a lot. You may want to sacrifice in the short term, but are you willing to sacrifice that in the long term? And look at what can this sacrifice that I'm making right now, what can that do to the relationship and the container, the space that we're in this relationship? What is that going to do over time? Checking in with yourself. So feel into your body. Does this decision of compromising feel expansive or does it feel contracted? Contracted right now. See? That's what I would say on compromises. For sure. If you have any questions regarding relationships, regarding the energies, to ask, and I will touch upon that too. Furthermore, another thing that I wanted to say is our energy, our main source of energy comes from ourselves and the connection we have with the universe, with that which is beyond us. I did not see this when I was stuck in perfectionism because I thought that my main source of energy would come from my own force, basically, not from the universe, from me. From I put everything on my shoulders and also on people around me because I couldn't do it. So then I began to project the need for everyone else to help me onto others. See? But the thing is that your main source of energy comes from the universe, and the energy that we gain from another person is never meant to sustain you or deplete them or vice versa. It's not. In a truly high vibrational relationship, each person is abundant with energy and gives freely while also receiving frequencies from another. So it's a beautiful cycle of reciprocity going on in which both people are connected to themselves beyond perfectionism, beyond the shoulds and the have tos, beyond the pushing, proving, and pleasing, where you are connected with you. And from that place, you can give freely. It's being able to also check in with yourself and be like, right now, I feel like I want to be in my own space. I want to cultivate my relationship to myself, and then I can come back to you and be more present with you. That takes a connection with your body. If you're a perfectionist with people pleasing, then you're not going to have that connection and you're going to deplete yourself. And that is going to create resentment within the relationship, isn't it? I know because I've been through that myself where I've gone depleted because I've just give without actually taking a step back and be like, oh, I think I want to be in my own space now and come back to you, right? And and I think a lot of the times we don't do that because we're afraid we're going to be rejected, right? You might feel like you're going to be rejected or turned down or something like that. So check in with yourself. That's what I would encourage you to. All right. Some questions that I would pose to you is as you begin to vibrate higher, as far as you deconditioning everything that no longer serves you, relationships that no longer serves, just ripping out the weeds really of your garden, the garden of your mind, the garden of your environment, then you're going to automatically attract higher frequency relationships that elevate your soul's expansion, the sunflower and the bloomer within. That is going to happen naturally because there is this law, which I believe Bob Proctor talks about, that basically says that, you have a vacuum and that vacuum is going to be automatically filled. Let me give you an example. If you go into your closet and you're decluttering the closet, how long does it take before that closet is full again? Very often it gets full again pretty quickly. And the reason why is because you are decluttering. It's a natural law. So whenever you're decluttering, rest in the peace that you will attract a higher frequency relationship whenever you have the courage and the bravery to let go. Start over, start fresh. It's refreshing like that. Some questions that I'd encourage you to look into and maybe journal upon is, how are you showing up in your relationships right now? How are you showing up in the relationship with yourself right now? What kind of relationship would you like to have with yourself? And what values do you want to build and create your life and relationships and business, for instance, upon too? How would you want to show up in those arenas? And how are you taking care of yourself or not taking care of yourself right now? Right? And how is your internal state impacting your partners, your relationships, and the people around you? Because again, as we've talked about, as above, so below, as within, so without. Beautiful to see you. So these are the questions that I'd encourage you to ask. Also, are you pushing, proving, and pleasing in your relationships? In which relationship do you feel like you're pushing, proving, and pleasing? How might you rather see that as a sign that, well, you might have outgrown the relationship and that there either must be some sort of readjustment that has to be made or a communication that has to be made or that gets to be made because you get to have that conversation, you get to have that communication. That's a choice that you get to make. It's a choice not to do it or to do it. Doesn't matter. Both is going to end up being a choice and you get to choose. That's empowerment. See, this is how you get embodied as well. Now, to end off here, I thought that we would do what I call an eye gazing meditation. So, this is an eye gazing meditation where we are going to gaze into each other's eyes. So, there are three different options here. I'm going to put on some music, which is sound healing frequencies. And I hope that you can hear the music all right. If not, I will turn it off. Okay. Let me know. But I'm going to have that in the background. And then you can either gaze into my eyes on the screen through the screen for the duration of the music, or you can go to a mirror and you can gaze into your own eyes, preferably look into your left eye, which is the portal to your bloomer, the sunflower within, the light within, the soul, as many people also say. Or you can, if you have other people around you, a significant other, for instance, you can also do eye gazing meditation with them. It's a really powerful meditation where you're looking into each other's eyes or into your own eyes. And it can be really emotional. Oftentimes it is. First time I saw this was when I saw basically a couple, I think it was in a refugee camp actually, where I saw that they put refugees together and they filmed them sitting down and looking at each other, looking and gazing into each other's eyes. And they connected so deeply. It was so beautiful and they got so emotional. So the reason I'm saying this is because we connect through our eyes, through our portals, and often through the portal, and we don't often take time to look deeply into each other's eyes, to connect without words. That is how you get in touch with your subconscious, and it really activates your light. So that can be brought up to the surface. So yes, we're gonna do this eye gazing meditation right now. Okay, so I'm going to turn on this beautiful song that I found yesterday that I really loved. I'm going to turn off my AirPods. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to turn this on. It's beautiful sound healing vibrations. And I'm going to look into the camera. Which one? I have two cameras going right now, Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. We're going to do this for, let's say we're going to do it for 2 minutes. Okay? Beautiful. Let's see here. Okay. I'm going to put you guys here. And we're going to gaze into each other's eyes, whomever is on the other side on the screen now. Whether you're watching live or as a replay, you're welcome. I'll be looking a little bit down and up. Soften and receive. Welcome to people joining. We're doing an eye gazing meditation right now for 1 more minute. Connect deeply with self and others. Allow yourself to be seen. So that was the eye gazing meditation. As I mentioned before we did this, you can do it on your own, with other people, with a significant other, with a friend, with a lover, whomever, looking into the mirror or looking into their eyes. So I find this to be a beautiful way to connect without words and to allow for light and shadows to come up and dance with each other. That is what this is all about, this Libra full moon. So we're going to end off here. I'm sending you and beaming you so much light and love from me to you. And I truly just wish that you cultivate a deep relationship with self, with yourself. And I invite you to do so through being able to overcome perfectionism, bloom beyond perfectionism. And you can do that too by coming into a very special and exclusive space that I've created called Bloom Beyond Tribe. So you can go to the link in bio on Instagram. You can go to bloombeyond.com/apply. Also go to the website if you want to learn more, bloombeyond.com. And there we're together, both free guests. I call them sunflowers for a monthly cohort, and then also bloomers, which are the paid clients in the Bloom Beyond Perfectionism program and Bloom Beyond Mastermind. So we're there together. You get 1 free month to be part of this tribe too, where it's all about being able to overcome perfectionism, overcome the armor, the need to protect, and being able to connect more deeply with self and others and shine bright, right? Shine bright and be brave and be balanced. Overcome pushing, proving, and pleasing. So go to bloombeyond.com/apply to join. I'm looking forward to seeing some of you on the other side. Have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are. And yeah, sending you so much love.